All right, man. Carmelo Anthony was on live with Dwayne Wade yesterday, and he talked about a lot of different things. He talked about LeBron saving his life from drowning, but one thing in particular he talked about was if the Detroit Pistons drafted him over Darko Miličić, what was it, like 03, 04, something like that, that he would have had 2, maybe 3 rings. Now, interesting thing about it is Ben Wallace did a podcast a few months ago, and he said that if they would have got Carmelo Anthony, they wouldn't have won no rings probably. So let's talk about it. He explained it. I'll put both article links in the description so you can check both videos or both articles out. Sometimes I like to read and listen. Sometimes I like to listen. Most of the time I like to read to keep my mind sharp. That's why I'm always ahead of the game and, doing videos, because I read. And you know what they say, the best way to keep a secret from a black man is in a book. But hey, appreciate the love and the support everybody putting down for the channel. We was hacked, now we back, and just happy to be back. For my people that listen to my other channel, Motor Street Sports Talk, predominantly Detroit sports news and entertainment, I'm gonna put my podcast in the description and I'll pin it in the comment section. So I'll be working off the podcast till the channel come back. They started on the channel already, but shit. I don't think I did it right this time, so that could be a problem. So it might be a little bit, maybe a minute, but yeah, on that video, on that channel, I actually talked about. That's why I brought up Ben Wallace, and when he said that about Carmelo Anthony. All right, but hey, make sure y'all hit the subscribe button, bell icon button, share the video, but. Let's start off with Ben Wallace. And like I said, I put the article in the description under article link. Touch the drop down box or just touch the title. It should drop down on your mobile device. And he said the reason why Carmelo Anthony would have stopped them from winning the championship, at least initially, is because Carmelo wouldn't have started, or he wouldn't have been in the rotation. And Carmelo was the best player coming out of college basketball, bar none, better than Bosh, better than Dwayne. Only person he wasn't better than was a great basketball player named LeBron James that went #1. Now, it would have been funny with the Pistons, if they got the #1 pick that year, they wouldn't have got LeBron, because that #1 pick would have went to Orlando. That's where the pick came from, for people who didn't know. I've been a Piston fan my whole life. But it would have been funny somehow if it would have been a scenario where they would have passed up on LeBron. I don't think Joe Dumars was that stupid, but Ben Wallace said the reason why Carmelo Anthony wasn't the fittest because Larry Brown didn't believe in playing young players. Now, remember, Tayshaun Prince was a 4-year player at Kentucky for Tubby Smith. And he was basically a veteran. Even in a time where players wouldn't stand for 4 years, they made him sit the entire bench his whole rookie season until T-Mac almost bounced him in the first round. And they took Tayshaun out the deep freeze, and Tayshaun put the clamps on him. When you talk about the Kobe stopper, the LeBron stop. No, Tayshaun Prince showed you how to stop Tracy McGrady. That's what a stopper looked like. Not Ruben Patterson, not Bruce Bowen, not Kawhi on LeBron so much. He shut T-Mac down, okay? So they played him in a desperation. In the Piston organization, since the turn of the decade or the century, they didn't believe in playing young players, and they ruined a lot of young players. They didn't play Chris Middleton. They didn't play Spencer Dinwiddie, and they went on to be Spencer Dinwiddie in the right system next year. He gonna be an all-star. Chris Middleton, an all-star. Aaron Flalo, they didn't play him. He went on and had a solid career. So the Piston organization, maybe Rick Carlisle, Larry Brown, even up to Stan Van Gundy and Maurice, not Maurice Shicks too, but thinking about Dwayne Casey, they didn't believe in playing a young player. So basically, Ben Wallace said it would have caused a lot of friction in the media. Knowing Carmelo's attitude, even being a rookie, not knowing his place. He said Carmelo and Larry Brown would have been going back and forth with the media. Then it would have trickled down to the players, and there would have been a big feud, and it would have messed up the chemistry. Something like Adrian Dantley did when he was beefing with Isaiah, and he wanted the Pistons to be his team, and they traded Dantley, which was one of the most underrated players of all time. And they won a playoff. They won a championship that year, and a lot of people in Detroit was mad when they traded Dantley. But, it messed up the chemistry. They brought in Isaiah boy, Mark Aguirre. He was the #1 pick the year Isaiah got drafted. Chicago, when they went on and done great things, and it wasn't social media era, but the media still had a way of manipulating things, with the players and everybody else. So Ben Wallace basically said the reason Darko fit is because Darko accepted the role of stepping back. He knew he wasn't good enough, and by him stepping back, he didn't complain. All Darko did was get drunk and didn't have no heart. But that was a problem with the majority of Piston coaches, man, that I remember, for a long time. They just didn't want to play young players. No matter how talented you was, they believe in like that old college thing where freshmen couldn't play back in the 60s and 70s. But Carmelo would have fit perfectly with that team, man. He would have gave you a guy when they had those dry spells that can get a bucket. I used to watch, man, I'm watching Pistons. They needed that guy that can go out there and get his own bucket at times. And Carmelo would have bought in, and it would have done wonders for Carmelo. I agree with Carmelo. If Larry Brown was notorious for beefing with players, and that's why he out the NBA, and he was too old school. You know what I'm saying? He kind of like Patricia and Bill O'Brien in the NFL with players. Not as racial. But Allen Iverson, it was kind of same bullheadedness that Carmelo got. So him and Carmelo would have clashed. But that talent, you had to play Carmelo Anthony. May it be coming off the bench. Eventually he would have started. And if you lost Ben Wallace, you know what I'm saying, Carmelo could have picked some of the slack up. And I think Carmelo would have been a better team player, a better distributor. I think he would have knew how to be a pro. I think he would have fit in good. But Larry Brown just didn't. And Rick Carlisle too. They just didn't have the versatility. They just stuck in their ways, bro. Rick Carlisle being versatile now. He open-minded. But Larry Brown, old school. You needed one of those, them coaches that were younger, innovative, and new. A dude like Carmelo, you make him fit. The right coach would have made him fit. So Ben Wallace probably was right. You know what I'm saying? Carmelo would have came in, wanted to be the man. He probably wouldn't even accepted a 6-man challenge. But remember, he was a rookie, but he was feeling himself. He was the second best player coming out the draft, best player coming out the NCAA basketball. So, he think it would have worked, but he don't know Larry Brown. Ben Wallace do. But he definitely, if Larry Brown had an ounce of versatility in his game, he still be coaching now. But you make Carmelo fit, and Carmelo, they would have went on the run in 04. They would have won. 03 was the draft he got drafted in. Then he would have went on one in 04, and they would have won in 05. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to know what was the Pistons' demise, people want to talk about it was LeBron. Nah, it wasn't LeBron James. That team wasn't shit that played San Antonio. The demise of the Pistons is when Ben Wallace, left for Chicago over a couple $1 million, a few $1 million. His career went down the drain. The Pistons went down the drain. That was the problem with that team. They should have just paid Ben Wallace, man. The Pistons was making buku bucks, man. They was making hella money back then. But Bill Davidson didn't want to pay, or Joe Dumars and Bill Davidson, the owner at the time, he on the top Bay line. They didn't want to play Ben Wallace. And Ben Wallace was the most integral part to that team because he solidified the middle. He was guarding Shaq one-on-one. He was the rim defender. And for him, it was a detriment for him. That few million he left on the table, whatever it was, 5-6 million he left on the table, it went down the drain. Him and Scott Skiles, man, the old point guard from Orlando, the coach. Him and Scott Skiles was beefing over him wearing a headband. Scott Skiles was finding him for wearing a headband. How you finding me for wearing a headband? Nigga, if I want to wear a headband, I'm wearing a headband. So it didn't work in Chicago. He went to Cleveland. When he left Detroit, he wasn't the same. Detroit was the ideal fit. Same thing for Ndamukong Suh. Not to make this a Motor City Sports Talk video, but when I get my channel back, but check out the podcast link in the description. But they trying to date Ndamukong Suh. His career was never set. He made it to the Super Bowl, but he never was iconic in Miami. He never was iconic with the Rams. He wasn't iconic as he was with the Tampa Bay. And he came back, but people don't appreciate it, bro. But Detroit, most players come here, they love it. It's just the ownerships, man. They suck. But I believe, if Larry Brown would have gave a little inch, Carmelo, they would have won 2 or 3. So I think Carmelo definitely would have been a remedy, like Hennessy. I got 5. I definitely do, man. But hey, let me know what you guys think. I put both article links in the description for my Detroit people. Were you interested? Check out my podcast. I have a podcast of the similar thing for this channel as well. So we working on that. They might get done today. Might do a pilot episode, have some people come on. I might go live today with a special subject. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, bell icon button. Check out NBA Talk playlist. Want to make a donation, Cash App, PayPal in the description. Check out the podcast, Motor City Sports Talk on Spotify. I'll link that in the description. I'll pin it in the post one time for the one time we go.